Hi everyone, welcome to the second lesson of the online course for debate for secondary schools. So this online course is powered by HIVE Educators and also with the partnership with the Kuala Terengganu district education department. Okay, so let's quickly go into the second lesson. So for this lesson, the first thing we are going to look at. So this lesson will look at the overview of speakers, roles and responsibility. So we are going to look at the flow, and then the first speakers, what are their roles and responsibilities in both the government and opposition. The second speakers, their roles and responsibility. And then we look at the third speaker's roles and responsibility. And then finally we'll look at reply speech. So in this lesson 2, we are looking at the structure of the debate, and how it goes. Okay, so first we look at the flow. So each debater speaks around 7 to 8 minutes. Now, in the last debate competition, that means in 2023, most of the speakers got the 7 minutes. Some used a lot of text. Use a lot. Referred to text. Some speakers spoke spontaneously. But as a debater, you should try to hit 7 minutes or at least 6 minutes 30 seconds. Okay, of course, you cannot check your time like, oh, I've reached 6 minutes 30 seconds. No, but a rough estimate. Try not to be lower than 5 minutes. Okay. So your reply speech is around 3 to 4 minutes. Now, usually this 3 to 4 minutes reply speech, everyone has something to say, and usually you'll be able to reach it. I have seen very good debate team, but in their reply speech, they give like a 1 minute reply speech, and that could lead. They might lose a lot of marks there. So again, you have to be very careful. So the government starts first, which is the affirmative side or the proposition. There's also, they are also called the proposition sometimes. So they start first, and for the reply speech, the opposition starts first. So if you can see here, first speaker, this is the flow. Okay, so government starts first, then opposition, and then it goes to the second speaker of government, and then second speaker of opposition, and then the third speakers, they only do rebuttals. Okay, the third speakers only do rebuttals, they do not add new points. Okay, so we'll just put something here like this. And then of course the reply speech. Okay, after the third speaker from the opposition speak, you'll be given like a few minutes, like 2 minutes if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong, please check. Then you do the reply, I think 2 to 5 minutes. Okay, and then you'll do the reply speech. The opposition starts first with the reply speech, and then the government will conclude the reply speech. Now, the reply speech can only be given by the first and second speaker. That means the third speakers cannot give a reply speech. So you must strategize. You must strategize with your teammates, okay, and with your teacher advisors. Who should be the third speaker? I've seen in many cases the teachers would, or even your team would put the best speaker in the third, as the third speaker. But you have to remember the third speaker cannot give the reply speech, so you have to strategize on how you want to do this. Okay, the strategizing is up to you. All right. So now the first speakers, the roles and responsibilities. Okay. So we'll just look at this. It's around the same, but we'll just look at it. We'll look at the government first, followed by the opposition. So the government, you start off by greeting the audience and judge. You need to define the motion. What the motion? So you need to define every word in the motion. Okay. So for example, the motion is mobile phones should be used in the classroom. So you need to define what is mobile phones. Okay, it's an electronic device. You need to define, you can even define what do you mean by the word should. Okay, and then what is classroom, what is the age group that you're looking at, and it's a Malaysian classroom. Okay, yes. You can, so what is the size of the classroom? You, if you want to say, okay, if in a classroom of large students, yes, mobile phones can be used. But again, this definition thing is something that the government has to pay close attention to. So what I just said, unpack each word in the motion and what the motion means holistically. So you need to unpack each word and then holistically talk about it. Holistically, it basically means an overall, an overview, an overall viewpoint. And then tell the government's position on the problem, basically your team line. Okay, and what are you going to prove, and the what government is going to do about it. Okay, of course, you, mobile phones should be banned in the class. Okay, say mobile phones should be used in the classroom. So you're supporting the motion, right? So what are you going to do about it? This is something for you to think. I mean, when you're writing down your speech, when you're drafting and formulating the points in your head, this is something for you to think about. Then you need to introduce the team line, and then introduce your team members, and then you need to present one argument. Now, I have seen cases where the first speaker gives two arguments, the second speaker gives two arguments. I would suggest, as the first speaker, because you're doing all of this definition and the unpacking, and then you're introducing the team line, the team members, that alone is going to bring you 4 minutes, right? So then I would suggest you to present only one argument, but you have to present a very, very strong argument. That means your best point should be with the first speaker, okay? Because you are going to lay out the entire tone. So you need to behave with the best points, okay? That's essentially the government's first speaker's role. Now we look at the opposition. Same thing, greet the audience. That's everyone begins that. And also the judges, I forgot judges here. So greet the audience and judge. Redefine the definition if necessary. So, for example, the government, they have defined the motion. You, as the first opposition, you must either you accept or you redefine. Now, the second speaker of the government cannot do that. Sorry, the second speaker of the opposition cannot do that. This is only the first speaker of the opposition can redefine the definition. Please do not change the rules. Okay, that's not how it works. Then you introduce the team line, introduce your team members, and then you begin by countering the arguments of the first government speaker. Okay, so this argument here, the opposition, it is important for you to engage, and it's important for you to counter the arguments given by the first speaker from the government. So tell them where they made where they made vague statements. Vague statements, like if you watch lesson 1, I talk about sweeping statements. Vague statements are similar. Tell where they manipulated. Tell where they presented their presentation in a completely wrong way. And then you, as the opposition, I think you also need to present one argument. Okay, it's not two, it's one. So again, there's a typo here. Okay, so you need to present one argument. Okay. I will fix these typos in the slides later on, but for the video purpose, just remember you're only presenting one argument, because again, you are doing all of this, you will not have time to present two solid arguments. Remember, when I say you are presenting one argument, that means that argument must be very, very solid. Okay, all right, now let's go to the second speaker's roles and responsibilities. So second speaker, right, you start off again, greet the audience and judge. Again, I forgot judge here. Also same here, greet the audience and judge. Strengthen your team line. Always go back to your team line. I see many debaters do not do this. They forget their team line. The second and third speaker do not think about the team line. You have to go back to it, because the team line sets the tone. The team line makes you look convincing. So always go back to the team line, and then restate the government definition if necessary. Okay, now second government. Okay, second government, you need to remember this. The motion probably has been redefined by the opposition, by the first speaker of the opposition here. So you need to redefine, you need to restate, not redefine, sorry, you need to restate the government definition. Okay, see what errors the first opposition did and counter those errors. Okay, and then you need to rebut the arguments of the first opposition speaker. Again, same thing. Tell them where they made vague statements, tell them where they manipulated, tell them where they presented in a completely wrong way. Now, second government, you need to present two arguments. Okay, so you have argument 1, argument 2, and all the points. Okay, now for the opposition, same thing. Okay, so greet the audience and judges, strengthen your team line, and then you're not, okay, second opposition, please do not redefine the motion. The motion is already set by here. Okay, after here, do not discuss the motion anymore. Do not talk about, okay, we want to redefine the motion. No, the motion has been set. Here it has already been set. So the first speaker, first government unpacks the motion. Opposition then probably you want to redefine the motion, and the second government probably then says, okay, you know what, we're going along with this definition. The second speaker of the opposition, you do not have to say about the motion anymore. Okay, do not fall into the trap. Okay, that is probably a trap set up by the government, unless the government has really misunderstood the motion. Okay, if they have really misunderstood the motion, they call it squirreling. Okay, squirreling. You can go and Google this, you'll be able to find it. Unless they have done this, you can point this out, but again, do not go into the motion debate. Okay, you can say somewhere here, probably you can say that they misunderstood the motion, but do not say, okay, we want to redefine the motion again. No, then this is not going to be a debate anymore. The judges will already know by here if the government had made a fatal error of like totally missing what the motion is. Okay, so you don't have to worry about the motion here, the second opposition. Your job here is to just counter, rebut, and then present your two arguments. And also do not forget to strengthen your team line. Okay, your team line is basically your case line. Okay, like why, what is your belief, what is your strongest belief about this topic, okay, or about this motion. Okay, now third speakers, now let's look at the third speakers, government and opposition. So the third speakers, they are called the whip. Okay, the whip, sometimes they are called as the whip. Okay, whip is what, sebat, right? Basically you're called the whip because you're gonna whip all the arguments. Okay, so again, great audience and judges. I keep forgetting the judges here. So again, great audience and judges. Again, strengthen the team line. Okay, this actually helps you, gives you like 10 seconds of time just to strengthen. Remember, when you start your debate, right, you're always nervous. Anyone will feel nervous unless you're a natural, really good speaker. So when you strengthen your team line, that gives you a lot of confidence. Start off by greeting and then immediately strengthen your team line. So you already have a flow on how you're going to start. That is going to help you so much. Gives you the confidence to keep moving forward. So you're rebutting the arguments of the first and second opposition speaker. That's what government doing. Again, these three things. And then you're going to summarize everything and defend your team line. You're going to summarize. Again, this is not a reply speech, but you are summarizing. That means you're just saying the first speaker made this argument. The first speaker of the opposition made this argument. My second speaker told this, but this was not engaged by the second speaker of the opposition. That means they do not have a good point to counter. Something like this, you're summarizing. Okay, remember, it's not a reply speech. And then you conclude. What do you think about the arguments of the opposition? How your team did better and what arguments you won? Okay, so again, you need to say what you did better. Do not give new arguments, and if the opposition is the same thing as well, do not give new arguments. And again, just summarize, conclude, and then just say what went wrong from the opposition or the other side. Okay. Now, reply speech. Only first speaker and second speaker can deliver a reply speech. So, what are you doing in the reply speech? Now, many students or many debaters, especially when you're starting a debate, you're really not sure how to do the reply speech. And most of the time, you already have your reply speech prepared in a text format. That is where most debaters get it wrong. Now, your reply speech must be an engagement with with the arguments, okay, with the arguments that have been made, okay. So it's the same list, I think. So we'll just look at one of it, okay. So first, you need to compare your position with the other team's position. What is the position? What was their team line? Engage with the team line. What was their case line or team line? Engage with that. Okay, their team line was X, our team line was Y. And it's clear that their team line X does not hold much merit because they fail to provide the evidence and support of the arguments. Okay. So something like this, you need to say that you need to compare the team line or compare the position, and then tell why you should win the debate. So tell why your position is better. Tell what problems the other teams didn't address and you did. So what problems they did not address or they intentionally did not want to address. Okay? And how your analysis and approaches were better than theirs. And then tell which arguments your team and why is better. Okay? So I think there's some typo here. And then don't rebut what you can't. For example, the other side has given a very, very strong statistics and you cannot rebut the statistics. Do not bring that into your reply speech. Rather your third speaker should have engaged with that, and your reply speech should focus on the entire debate. All right, a very holistic or overall viewpoint. All right, do not go into the specifics sometimes, because if you go into the specifics, if you go into the details, you might lose out. And if you do that, sometimes you are what you're doing is you are opening yourself to be seen as incompetent. So again, be careful on what you choose to engage in with the reply speech, but you must always show that why your arguments are stronger. Okay, so now thank you for listening. So I hope you have gained an overall understanding of debate. So now we'll proceed to lesson 3.